I think my 24F husband, 33M, is staking me. Edit, stalking, not staking. I recently went back to working in the office after working from home since March 2020. When they announced that we could come back, my husband threw a fit and pretty much wanted me to either find another WFH job or just be a stay-at-home wife. We don't have kids. I love my current job, so I refused to. Ever since I've been back, he just randomly comes to my office. One day it's flowers, the next day it's food, and so on. At first I thought he was just being romantic. Then we started running into each other around town on my lunch break or at client companies even miles away from his job. This weekend I went out of town, a couple hours away, with my best friend, and we both think we saw his car. Yesterday I turned my location off on my phone and he asked me why I turned it off right away. He denies checking on my location and says he randomly noticed but then was mad I wouldn't turn it back on. He won't admit to any of it. I don't even have anything to hide, but it just feels weird. Could be crazy or something really weird could be going on. Do any other husbands do this? How can I get him to admit it? Or how can I make sure I'm not crazy? When I turned off my phone location, my now ex-husband put a GPS tracker in my car and also a video recording device in closet where I get dressed. This is not normal and will escalate. He got arrested for domestic violence stalking. I would check your car USB plug-in etc. in a week or so and see if he installed anything. In another comment, you mentioned you two haven't even been together for 3 years, and you're nearly a decade younger than he is. Have you started coming into yourself more, figuring out things you like, spending time with your friends, and now you're going back to work? Maybe speaking your mind more? Based on the timeline, you guys have spent almost half of your relationship in quarantine. It seems to me like he feels like his grip on you is slipping. I'm sure you've already noticed other red flags, but this is really serious. He followed you to another town? That's insanity. I would confide in that same friend about this and start working out how to leave. He sounds like a really scary dude. Sure sounds like he's stalking you. Unfortunately, this is often the start of controlling behaviors. It's not romantic, and it's not coincidence. I think he's insecure. He doesn't trust you, and this will only get worse. I'm sure he'll deny any wrongdoing. But if you think you can talk to him about this, I would, and I wouldn't wait too long. He shuts down and just denies everything when I bring it up. It's like I'm the crazy one for even thinking it. Does he have a job? Does he have GPS enabled on his phone as well? It might be possible to check his location history for confirmation. And if his location is off, you should start keeping yours off too. This sounds really scary. Please be careful. You are not crazy. Read The Gift of Fear. Yes, he does have a job. He owns his business though, so that'd definitely allow him to literally follow me around all day if he wanted to. And no, I don't have access to his location. I'll try to find that book. Thank you. He's doing more than stalking you, he's gaslighting you and making you doubt yourself, shuts down and gets angry when you question and you don't comply. He's an adult, he could have just came clean, he could have asked you to help him deal with his insecurities and so on. But he is choosing the deceitful route. Why? Because you can't confront him if he says he didn't do it and then makes you feel like the crazy one and he can keep doing what he wants. This is beyond him stalking you. He is lying to your face assuming you're dumb enough to fall for it. This is nowhere near a white lie. Your husband is deceiving you and he thinks he is in the right to do so. Massive disrespect. There is no point in trying to make him admit. He already thinks he's entitled to you and he can treat you with whatever lies you will eat. Who knows what he lied about before. Also, he might get creative in ways to control you and your movement. Don't fall for it. Stay at your sister's and let everyone know what you discovered about him. Be safe. My dad, 56M, says he and his girlfriend of 2 months are a package deal at my mom's funeral. My 26F mom was in the process of divorcing my dad when she died. She was battling an aggressive cancer for a year and a half. 6 months into the ordeal, my dad had a blow up during his birthday, telling her he could not believe she couldn't put on a happy face for just one day. He quickly moved out of the house and rented a place where he took his business trips. My mom was in denial until somebody close to her told her they saw my dad firsthand out and about kissing another woman. She filed for divorce 1 month before her death and my dad went public with his new girlfriend, 27F. After she died, my dad came to the house with a family friend and made a huge scene, crying and saying they had a good marriage and family. As the husband of the deceased, most people expected him to plan the funeral, but conversations with him usually turned to preparing the house for sale and dealing with the estate that he expects to get as the husband. He and his girlfriend moved into the house and finally he said that me and my mom were the event planners in the family, so it would be better in my hands and he gives me full right to do as I think best. He also said he wanted no events at their place because his girlfriend is a germaphobe about where she lives. I ended up doing all the work with my grandma, aunt, and my mom's best friend. When I sent him the formal notification about when and where we would be holding the memorial, he asked why there wasn't one addressed to his girlfriend and then showed me screenshots of chats where both he and his girlfriend were criticized. All the people who put love into my mom's funeral think it's inappropriate for the man my mom loved for her whole life to be sitting next to a new girlfriend. In addition, my dad and his girlfriend are nicknamed Couple Club Molly by everybody in our circle under 40 because of how much PDA they show whenever they are out together. Her always sitting on his lap, making out, keeping their hands at inappropriate places. When I tried to gauge if my dad would consider tapering off the touching and rubbing up against each other, sharing a seat they've been known to do, he denies remembering one time they've even kissed in public and says that he can't help but think I want to dictate how he grieves and that you can't expect someone who's been cruelly starved for like 2 years to accept that state of affairs. He says invite both of us or I assume you're not inviting me. My dad never used to be like this. He used to be very affectionate and gregarious, but now everything that's so charming about him is worse than glib. My main concern is my grandma, who has been suffering heart palpitations since we lost my mom, and the stress of dealing with drama or reminders of my dad cheating is too much for her. Should I leave the ball in my dad's court and let him decide what he wants to do, or should I bite the bullet and formally invite his girlfriend? I have spent nearly all of my own money on this funeral and my dad contributed a total of $100. It very much sounds like he wants to play the part of the grieving husband while also showing off a young girlfriend. He's being very immature and selfish. Don't invite her, not sure why she'd even want to be there considering the circumstances. And be prepared to deal with things if he decides to show up with her. You should have some sort of contingency plan for that. Yeah, your dad sounds like a real piece of shit. Sorry, don't invite his girlfriend or your dad. Your dad's behavior is horrible. Since your mom already requested the divorce, does your dad still have right to the full inheritance? Sounds like him and that girl are out for the entire estate. I'd be tempted to seek a lawyer's advice on this situation. This depends heavily on the jurisdiction and NBSP. In some places spousal inheritance rights and next of kin rights are upheld up to the point that a divorce is finalized by the court. And NBSP, basically if you die during the divorce process, technically you were still legally married and thus the surviving spouse has claim to the common marital assets, after probate, even though divorce was initiated by the deceased spouse, because the divorce was not completed. In other jurisdictions, a named executor, has to be someone specifically named in a legal document by the deceased, can push during probate that the wishes of the deceased in relation to their estate supersede the surviving spouse entitlement to inheritance as divorce was sought and filed. And NBSP, it's really tricky stuff, and definitely something that should be asked of a lawyer that specializes in estate and probate law. I wouldn't invite her if it were me, and it's your dad's decision if he wants to attend or not. People can form their own opinion about the situation. She isn't a friend or family member. This is just the beginning of him imposing her on everyone. I'd set boundaries now. Hell, I'd be hiring security to stop her at the door if she tries to attend. Do not invite his new girlfriend to your mum's funeral. And ban the dad too. He's a piece of shit leaving his wife for a girl who's literally 1 year older than his own daughter and rubbing it in everyone's fucking faces. Both he and his new girlfriend are disgusting human beings. My 23F boyfriend, 23M, revealed a fetish to me and I can't look at him the same way. Will I ever get over this? My boyfriend is a great, loving guy. I don't want to make this post too long, so I'm just going to say, he recently revealed he has a fetish for spreading STDs. Let me make it clear. He's not actually spreading STDs, but he likes to pretend he is. There's something to me that seems very malicious about it. I agreed to try out some kind of play with it because I felt like he deserved that, but him saying, "I'm giving you syphilis right now and you can't even stop me," was the biggest turn off of my life. He says this is a common fetish. I felt so dirty. I told him I didn't like it and he said we don't have to do it again, but I can't stop thinking about this. I know this is petty and immature, but this is burned into my mind. And there's a silly part of me wondering what if he'll cheat on me and give me an STD on purpose even though I know he loves me and would never do that. I always end up thinking about this during sex and it's like a cold shower. How do I get over this? I feel like I'm ruining a great relationship with a great guy because I can't get over myself. No offense to anyone who has this fetish, by the way. He says this is a common fetish. I don't think it is, really. How long have you known him? I'm giving you syphilis right now and you can't even stop me. JFC, I sicked in my mouth a little reading that and I can't even imagine how desert dry my fanny would go if someone said that to me during sex. I guess he can't help what turns him on, but you can't help what turns you off. Y'all need to actually talk about this fetish like grown-ups. Hope you feel secure enough in the relationship to say how it lead to some anxieties about him actually giving you an STD even though you know he wouldn't cheat on you. How it made you feel. That's how you move forward. Get checked for STDs, especially syphilis. I've heard of some weird ass fetishes. This is not among that list. I am not saying it doesn't exist. I am saying that him claiming it is common is the biggest pile of BS I have heard. Would get checked for STDs if I were you. I don't know if this is a common fetish. I know a lot of kinks, and I've never heard of this. It sounds like what bothers you about it is the fact that it's a non-consensual fantasy. The person who would be getting the STD would not have control or possibly even knowledge of it. If it is just a fantasy, there's no harm in him having this kink, but there's also no harm whatsoever in you not being okay with it. Personally, I would not be and would be feeling similarly shook. I don't know if I would have any romantic feelings left, but there's lots of unique role plays out there, and there may be someone into that kind of sensei. Just to cover all of your bases, if you distrust him enough to be concerned about cheating. Are you aware of his sexual history? Did you both get tested before dating? There are STDs that are much less visible on men compared to women. It might be good to get a checkup with your gynecologist if this sounds like something you might be concerned about.